right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Blocking Biscuits Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Treh Hamilton, joined alongside my executive producer, Mr. Brad Thompson. We talk all things senior hockey across the province of Ontario, even, I guess, stretching out into Quebec now with the NPHL, a couple teams up there. We got a lot of teams to cover. We got a lot of teams to talk about, but we're here with an individual who is super kind to join us, take time out of his day to talk about a team that has kind of been, one of the big stories in the NPHL in the Metropolitan Division this year. What has been a very successful example of community over everything. Bringing in guys, making them play the right way, practicing, coming out, having a game plan, and going out and being an over 500 team in their first ever year in senior hockey. Welcome, Mr. Ryan Davis, the head coach of the Six Nations Ironmen. Coach, thank you so much for being here with us tonight and taking time out of your day. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, fellas, it's mutual. Like I say, it's an honor, like I say, to you guys to reach out, and like I say, for me to represent Six Nations in my home community and the Ironmen here. So yeah, fire away, and I'm happy and honored to be on the show. So
He's
yeah,
ready to go.
yeah,
We're happy to have you, buddy.
I'm fired up. I'm always fired up when I get the chance to talk hockey and my team and teams I coach and my players. And yeah, like I say, are just happy to be here, and I'm happy to be included.
For
Even
sure.
with
At the end of the day.
even with our pending series coming up this weekend, happy to have you on.
Yeah, you got to hype things up. You know what I mean? Like I say, that's
For sure.
what I'm going to tell my players. It's no secret in hockey. At the end of the day, it's you're all, that was that's probably your goal, my goal at Alvinston. Go down the list, Orangeville. Your goal at the end of the day is make the playoffs, and that's the real season, right? That's when real hockey starts. You know what I mean? Whether you're in a National Hockey League or you're playing minor hockey, it at the end of the day, it's let's focus on making the playoffs, and then we're gonna try to, like I say, it's going to be meat and potatoes hockey, and yeah, you know what I mean, and hype things up, and yeah, let's get ready to go. You know what I mean? Like it's go time. When you get to the playoffs.
Yep. There's no more messing around. There's no more hiding. That's one thing that I got to say. I had the chance to meet you. We were chatting about it off record there. Right away when I got to shake your hand, it stood out to me. You came up to me. I was coaching Brad's team that night. Sorry to the NPHL. Yeah, I was the backup goalie for Stratford, and I did all this stuff. But bodies had to be in jobs, and I was the one guy that had to be there that day. I'm close to Six Nations, so it worked out. But you came up, kind of at that divider there, in the arena, and you shook my hand, and you said right away, you broke it down that these boys here, this is a family. These guys are here to play, and they're bought into a system. And I watched it happen on the ice every time I was down in Six Nations and you guys played, win or lose, and more times than not it was win. Tell me about it, Coach. How do you take a group of guys that are now grown men? You get some guys like Theo that played in the OHL, and Tyler. You get guys like Kessler Sky, played high junior hockey. Mitch Green, former captain of my hometown, Tillsonburg Thunder. How do you take these guys and now that they're adults, and get them to buy into a system?
Well, I think it's by a committee, and it's by your vision. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I'm the captain of the ship. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's about respect,
Yeah.
and it's me, and what I presented to the players was it was very simple. I'm gonna be a little bit of X and O's. I'm gonna be a little bit of the big brother. I'm gonna be. I've always been the big brother in these situations because I played with a lot of these guys and I've coached them since they were kids. I had a son that's at college right now, and he's grew up with Kessler and Theo, and I've coached Brenny Anderson and Tyler, and the list goes on. So a lot of these kids I had since they were little tykes, you know what I mean, and taught them hockey and taught them the game and stuff. So at the end of the day, I've always tried to hold my team and my players accountable. I think that's what a coach has to do is hold the players accountable, and then my approach was get them to be accountable, get them on the same page, and get it to be about the team. You know what I mean? It's about the team first mentality. You know what I mean? And in hockey, it's a team game. It ain't golf. It ain't bowling. You know what I mean? Where it's a one-man show and selfish, you know what I mean? Selfish plays and selfish things going on out there. At the end of the day, it's a 18-man roster. You got your two goalies and you're playing team hockey. You know what I mean? Like you got defense, you got the goalies, you got the forwards. You got the offensive players, and you got the defensive players, and all these different roles on a team. And it's up to the coach to find those players and put them in situations where they can perform, and they can perform at a high level. And it's up to you to hold them accountable to their character and their traits. I think the biggest thing that can be said here, and me and my girlfriend talk a lot about, people have gifts. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And every one of us has a gift, and it's up to you to share it. Share those gifts with the world. And like I say, at the end of the day, hockey players have gifts. You know what I mean? And they're all gifted in a certain way. So it's
Mhm.
up to the coach to find those gifts and bring those gifts out, and help share that with the rest of the world. And being in hockey, it's getting these players to perform and execute your game plan, and to share their gifts with the rest of the team, and to bring that out in them. And that's what I try to do.
For sure. I can feel your passion, through the screen. You talk about gifts. Obviously, you have the gift of being a coach. And I could say that, if I played for a guy like you, I'd be fired up, man. Like, sorry, Brad, you're gonna have to bleep it out, but I'd be fired the fuck up playing for a coach like you. He's gonna have to edit out now. He's mad. I owe him a beer. But no, that passion, that's huge. That's the game of hockey right there. And that's I could see it when, your boys came up to Orangeville, and you get Orangeville, they got all these guys, ex-pros and everything. And you guys came up there in back-to-back weekend. You guys punched them in the mouth. And I don't think they were expecting it. And they came back and they got you guys at the end in a really close game. But I think that spoke volumes to where your team has grown from the beginning of the season to now. You guys have taken steps in the right direction. And I mean, you guys were one or two wins away from, clinching, going to the year-end tournament in the Outlaw Cup, from winning the division in the regular season. It was that tight. And obviously, like I said, your passion and the skill of these players has really, allowed things to buy in and develop the way that they should. But, a big thing with the Ironmen, I've got the vibe, when I go there. First of all, there's always, ladies selling baked goods. The food's great, the atmosphere's great, the shoot, the player that does the shot from center ice, right? Community is a big thing with the Ironman. Why don't you let us know, and give some shout outs to the people of the community that have really helped make this thing possible for Greener and the guys like yourself that are kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, when they approached me about the Ironman and going senior, and that was one of the telling factors for me, was how I told them how we needed to build this. You know what I mean? And it's people, like you say, in every organization. Like you say, it's going to be Tilbury people. It's going to be every team, Stratford. It doesn't matter. You're going to sink or swim with your volunteers.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, we're not paying any of these people. You know what I mean? We don't have crazy budgets here, like I say, in your home communities. But what it is pride. It's a sense of pride. And you know what I mean? And that's what we tried to do here. And that's what I told them what needed to be done is we're going to treat our players like pros, and we're going to treat our fans and put on a show and entertain them. And we needed good people and good volunteers. And that starts with all those people behind the scenes, what it takes to run put on a show. You know what I mean? And that, with the ticket sales and the swag and getting people in the door and having minor hockey night and teddy bear tosses and all those things that you try to make your team, what I mean, at the end of the day, be supported, right? And it works both ways. It's a two-way street. So at the end of the day, the Six Nations Ironmen are out in the community. I got my players we've give to the Christmas basket program here on the reserve. We've handed out, helped with our Six Nations local council, Thanksgiving Day, handing out turkeys, with their giveaway program. We sent some players to that. We've also, like I say, donated the teddy bear tosses to the underprivileged here that might not get a lot of gifts at Christmas, to the Santa Claus basket fund, stuff that they do in the community. So we've kind of worked hand in hand with our community here, and tried to build it the right way. And those were the things I mentioned that had to happen. That you know what I mean. If I want people to come to the game and they don't know who Ryan Davis is, or Theo Hill, or Tyler Hill, or Stephen Laforme, you know what I mean? Because, like I say, because we're not out in out in the community asking for the support. Like I say, I think it's a two-way street here. So,
Hmm.
like I say, at the end of the day, my volunteers have jumped in head first, hands on, asking, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So it's been, Blaine LaForme behind the scenes, Daryl Anderson, the manager, Daryl's wife, Alicia, her daughter's doing our social media. We reached out to Daryl Smart, with Smart Media to get coverage, for YouTube and for the league and for us to be branded and marketing and all that thing is huge nowadays with social media. We
Mhm.
tried to get people on board that are professional, you know what I mean, and do good things, have high content, stuff like that we believe in too, is and for our players and and the staff as well. But at the end of the day, it's our timekeepers, it's the people that volunteer their time, and we've tried to keep it local and use like I say, use local people that are hands on and good hearted, good kind people. And like I say, they're up there selling food booths and selling scratch off tickets and 50/50s, and you know what I mean. The list is endless. You know what I mean, and that's just trying to help get people in the door. And at the end of the day, it's a product that we're trying to, as hockey players, we're trying to entertain and have that family atmosphere. You know what I mean, and
Mhm.
bring your family out to the games, and it's affordable. And come watch these ex OHL guys, and come watch these ex pros that are in Orangeville and Strathroy with Shrempy and Brandon Pruss, some ex NHLers, and
Yeah.
that Elvison team. You know what I mean? That stacked with McEwen and you know what I mean, and Fees, and some top line talent in this league. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
like I say, at the end of the day, we're trying to sell something like everybody else, but we tried to sell it hard on the community about being invested in our people and trying to be a source of inspiration and pride here at Six Nations.
For sure. And that's the big thing that I've seen. I know, Brad, I don't know if you got a question, but I just wanted to say when I come out to the Ironman games, I see the youngsters and these kids, they're looking up to these guys, man. It's huge. Like these guys are, obviously everybody locally who plays minor hockey, they go out, they wear the crest, they represent their team, they represent their town. But to get to watch these guys who are now grown men that you can look up to, you see the youngsters. Is that a point of pressure for the players? Is that something you put on them to remind them that, hey, I know some of these kids are your kids, guys, but there's a lot of youngsters in this community that are here and banging on the glass and waiting for high fives. Are you teaching them, your players, to set an example for the youngsters in the community? Because who knows, they might, 20 years down the line be playing in the Ironman organization.
That's exactly it in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like I said, let's put the shoe on the other foot. You were a kid once, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were one of those youngsters banging on the glass somewhere in probably a rink in Ontario somewhere, right? You know
Yep.
what I mean? So, and I was too.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some community legends here, and we're obviously thankful for that. Stan Jonathan leads the way for us here, ex
Mm-hmm.
Boston Bruins. I always went to Stan Jonathan's hockey schools, man. He had
Oh
Don
yeah.
Cherry down here, Ron McLean's been down here. Bob Probert's been down here. Like the list goes on. But at the end of the day, I was one of those kids that was banging on the glass and wanted to see the ex pros and the ex NHLers. And I like you say, and yeah, I can probably say, like you say, with the shoe was on the other foot, you were probably one of those kids too, banging on the
Mm-hmm.
glass in your hometown,
Damn right.
wanting to see someone's hockey school that was in town. Or like I say, we got Brandon Montour now. That's a source of
Oh
pride for our people, right?
yeah.
Monty's our cousin, my
Yep.
cousin by blood. And yeah, like what an inspiration there, right? You know what I mean? The Trailblazer winning the cup a couple years ago. I took all the kids down. I took my own kids down, went and took a picture with the cup. He had it here at Six Nations in our local arena in the summertime. You know what I mean? So yeah, at the end of the day, that's like I say, one of the things and one of those building blocks that I said, and I mentioned earlier, with the foundation that needs to be built here
Mm-hmm.
in our inaugural season was, let's give back to the kids. Like you say, let's make it a kid-friendly environment, a family-friendly environment. Let's put on a show, and at the end of the day, let's high five them kids that are there waiting for us. They all want sticks. They all want autographs. They
Yep.
want to come in the room. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
right. Like it's just
They love it, man.
kids being kids. And at the end of the day, like I said, we hope that, I tell my guys all the time, we're role models. You guys are role models. These
Mm-hmm.
kids are looking up to you in the community. And like I say, hopefully when we build this foundation after this first year, that those kids are looking to be, hey, I want to be the next Mitch Green, or I
Mm-hmm.
want to, like you say, I want to play for the Ironmen one day, and
Mm-hmm.
they got something to strive for. They got
Exactly.
some, they got goals and dreams, and they got something that would have here in the community that maybe they could fall back on one day and have some and be and we the Ironmen as players and coaches and the staff can be a source of inspiration for those kids that are coming up. You know what I mean?
Well, you've done a great job so far, and I mean the journey's far from over. I mean this is something that just got started, but I gotta say, when's Brandon Montour signing? Because man, that's gonna be that's gonna be, bro. I am gonna say I feel bad for anybody that has to go up against him because I have a feeling that you got the connections in a few years, Monty. If you're watching this, Monty, you better come out because I want to see you wearing the Ironman crest and come out here and play in this excellent hockey league, man. Because that would be a lot of fun. But all jokes aside, playoffs are getting started now. You talked about it earlier. The mentality shifts. Brad, they're playing your guys, Halton Hills Coyotes. It's a 4-win team. What's the message like to the boys in the room in the first round? Getting yourself prepped. Don't get too far ahead of yourselves. Is it a one day at a time kind of mentality? Tell us as a coach, what are you going to tell those boys?
Well, it's like you say, it's pretty basic for me. Like you say, we've built your regular season, which I believe, like you say, and Brad would probably say this too, right? Like you build in the regular season to be trending in the right directions in the playoffs when the playoffs hit. And like I say, at the end of the day, it's not about being cocky or arrogant. For me, it's all about my team and how they perform. At the end of the day, and like I say, I'm trying to gear up and gear them up for playoff hockey. And at the end of the day, like I say, what I'm telling my players is now the fun and games are over. You know what I mean? It's time to get serious, and that's not overlook anybody. Like I say, and that's not be cocky and arrogant hockey players. It's let's stay humble. You know what I mean? And let's take this one game at a time, one shift at a time, one play at a time. And like I say, let's just go and I tell them all the time. Like I say, throughout the season, and my message will stay the same. I've told them, just go win your shift. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's real simple in hockey. You know what I mean? You don't got to overthink it or overplay it or be, I got some magic wand that I'm gonna switch, or like you say, switch the lights on and tell them, oh hey, well I got this real friggin' NHL game plan here, boys. Let's go. This is what we're gonna use against Orangeville, or this is what we're gonna use against Halton Hills now, or this is what we're gonna use against Woodstock. It's none of that for me.
Yeah.
It's always been the basics. As a player, like I say, I played a lot with these guys over the years. Mitch Green's my nephew, like I say, and at the end of the day, I got talented hockey players. Like I say, I have a core here, like I
Mm-hmm.
say, with Theo and my younger guys, Stephen LaForme and Brenny Anderson, that carry my club. And like I say, I got a little bit of a youth movement here. And like I say, I try to take advantage of that by playing them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I lean on those guys and I'm hard on those guys because,
Mm-hmm.
like I say, at the end of the day, they are my team. You know what I
Yep.
mean? They are. If Theo's not skating or not going, like I say, I'm on his case. And like I say, as a coach, because like I say, I play them a lot and I give them the rest of a lot of responsibilities out there on the ice. And like I say, and they're the heartbeat of my team. Those players. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then the other guys, like I say, at the end of the day, when you see your young guys and you see those young guys leading the way, they got nothing but respect for them. And like I say, they seem to follow, right? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
players are going to follow Mitch Green or Brendan Anderson, like I say, when they're leading the way, playing hard, playing the right way, scoring goals, doing their job, doing what I'm asking as a coach. And like I say, it kind of filters down through that team of like I say, the rest of the guys kind of seem to fall in line to say, right? Coach is asking Theo to do it, right? Coach is asking Mitch to do it, and I got to do it too. So, like I say, that's the game plan for me. It's no secret formula. Like I say, I got no magic wand, and like I say, at the end of the day, it's remaining humble, and like I say, it's putting in the work. I tell them that all the time. We can't just show up. We're not a team that's like I say that can just show up and play hockey games and win on talent. And I think everybody knows that in hockey. Like I say, hard work beats talent, right? You know the old
Mm-hmm.
saying, hard work beats talent when talent don't show up, right? Or talent don't work hard. And that's the type of team I have. I have a hard working team that has to put the work boots on. And like I say, and that's the message at the end of the day is it's playoffs now. Tie your boots up, lace them up, and
Mm-hmm.
let's go earn it. and let's go work at it. And like I say, and at the end of the day, win or lose, I'm proud of you. But let's go work and leave it out on the ice. Let's go win your shift. Let's
Mhm.
just go win your shift. That's all I ask. Just win your shift, and we'll take it from there.
Playoff hockey is a different beast, and I think you have a great mentality in terms of, keep it simple and let your leaders lead. And it's great to see. And it's like you said, just these guys are going to rely on your leaders, and it's. I mean, I'm going to be there for every game, so it's going to be great to see the series as a whole. But clearly, great leadership. You have the right mentality, and you've got your guys ready, and it's really impressive to see.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I say, it's we got respect for everybody. Like I say, I don't disrespect any opponent. Every time I've been there at all the games, like I say, it's the time you overlook somebody or the time you get cocky or arrogant, thinking it's going to be easy. When going into Woodstock with 0 wins at the time, thinking it's going to be point night. It's a lot of mental, and
Mhm.
everybody says that, right? Hockey's a mental game, and it is, right? Because like I say, that's not thinking the right way, right? That's not showing up to the game going, holy man, like Halton Hills is a tough barn to play in. It's going to be hard there. You know what I mean? When you're thinking that, oh, I'm gonna get 6 7 points because the Halton Hills #1 goalie's hurt. You know what I mean? Or they're missing a couple of defensemen because of suspension. You know what I mean? Everyone's looking at rosters every night. Everyone's
Mhm.
looking at the lineup every night. Everybody talks in the league. Like I say, social media is a blessing and a curse. Like I said before, because like I
Mhm.
say, so people are clicking on Instagram and Facebook and all the TikTok and all these different things that happen with players nowadays with the technology in hockey. So like I say, at the end of the day, um, we have to stick. And like I say, that's why I don't try to overlook anybody. And that's
Mhm.
why, like I say, I just try to worry about my team. I just try to worry about the Ironman.
Mhm.
I don't worry about who's in the lineup, if McEwen or Prust or whoever's playing. Because at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter.
Mhm.
As a hockey player, it shouldn't matter who's on the other in the lineup. It shouldn't matter who's out of the lineup. It shouldn't
Mhm.
matter who's playing, right? Because we got to play a certain way, right? And that's what I've always believed in as a hockey coach. We have to play a certain way, right? Whether that's dump and chase hockey or trap and hockey or whatever it is, they have to play a certain way. And at the end of the day, like I say, that's how I prepare my clubs. That's how I
Mhm.
prepare my teams, whether they were minor hockey, whether, like I say, AAA players I coach. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I try to prepare my players for playing our game, right? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And then we'll make the adjustments if like I say, is if someone's lighting us up or got 3 or 4 goals or whatever those issues are in game. That in game things can
Mhm.
change real fast in game.
Yep.
Somebody gets hurt, somebody gets a sussy, somebody gets kicked out, somebody, you know what I mean? Look at what happens. I went to Tilbury the other night with 13 guys, right? The
Mhm.
weather, bad road conditions, you know what I mean? Like just crazy things happen, with a lot of players that travel and you know what I mean? Like I say, things like that. And that's just the hand you're dealt, and that's the way you got to deal with it and handle it. But at the end of the day, what I preach and what I believe in is we have to play our game. Like we have to play our game, and I worry about the Ironman that, and I don't
Mhm.
overlook anybody, and I keep my boys focused on the task at hand, and like I say, and keep it simple for them. At the end of the day, I was told this a long time ago. It doesn't matter whether they're tight, U 15, 13, 14, whatever you want to call it. Coach, open up the door and let them play and get
Mhm.
experience, right? Open up the door. You know what I mean? And always remembered that as a player, right? Nobody's good on the sitting on the bench riding the pines. How can a player get in a game? I was that guy. You know what I mean? I was on the fourth line before. I played OHL and I've been in junior and the pros, man. And it's tough to be a hockey player sometimes to get a
Yep.
tap on the shoulder and go, oh, well, it's 10 minutes to go in the third period and here's your first shift, and go out there and perform and do your best. And you're
Yep.
cold, you know what I mean? And you haven't been in the game. So at the end of the day, I try to roll my lines. I try to get everybody involved, and get them in the game.
Mhm.
And like I say, at the end of the day, it's coach, open up the door and let them play and let them figure it out and let the players perform and figure and make mistakes, and learn from it, and get them out there and let them play. It's
Mhm.
hockey. They love to do it. They're players, and let them play.
Oh yeah, the boys at this level, man, like you said, These are boys that have played. You're look at your top three guys, right? Like, I mean, you yourself could probably be on the first line. Just saying, but no. All seriousness, kids like Anderson, I love watching that kid. It was funny because I was chatting with a couple of my buddies, and we were saying, as a joke, if we were to build a team from the ground up, and we wanted a first line, we went across the whole league in our division, our metropolitan area, and Anderson made all three of our teams. All me, my buddy, and my other buddy, all three of us said Brandon Anderson is a guy that I would put on my team any day of the week. So, to get to coach a guy like that, and like you said, you're letting him play his game, but you're still teaching him because at the end of the day, this is a different level of hockey than the OHL. This is different than when he was with the Bulldogs. Senior is its own game. It's a little bit slower, but it's more intelligent of a game. The boys have to learn to set up the power play. OHL, you're coming in, you're going to your F1. He's going back to the point, and either point man's ripping it or he's getting F1 for the back door. That's basically a power play in the OHL. In senior, these guys are smart. They've played pro, they've played overseas, they know where to be. The sticks are in lanes. One of the big things that you guys have in your barn is the small neutral zone, and it plays a huge factor because every team I've been with that we went down there, the boys did not know how to adjust because that small neutral zone, you get your guys holding four strong in the neutral zone, and you have that F1 four checking hard, and nobody can get through that wall. I just got to say that's a system that you guys run. You play to your barn. You guys know the bounces of the wall, and it's paying dividends. And I think this is going to be a big series for you guys because you guys have the home ice advantage. And sorry, Brad. Obviously, I'm hoping may the best man win in this series. But just so he doesn't get too mad after I had to make him bleep it out. But no, tell me, kind of in our final couple questions, the boys growing up in Six Nations, knowing that barn and how that barn plays, do you think it does give them an advantage knowing how to play the small neutral zone and how the boards act in the offensive zone?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a huge advantage. And I think it goes across the board.
Hmm.
You go to Woodstock and you got the big barn,
Oh,
where now you got time and you got space, or you're up in
hmm,
Orangeville. Now you got a second or two to get your head up and make a play.
hmm.
Where let's go to Elvinston. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
you got those guys flying at you, and you know what I mean? And it's a small, tight, ice surface again, right? And now you
hmm,
don't have time and space to make plays.
hmm,
So I definitely think a home arena is a huge advantage in senior. Like
hmm,
I no doubt about it. Like I say,
hmm,
and that's every team.
hmm,
Every team has an advantage at home. Every team is strong. Everybody knows the boards. Everybody knows the bounces. Everybody knows the dashers. Everybody knows that, and we're no different.
hmm,
All these kids grew up here in minor hockey. Like I say, I coached them. I was
hmm,
one of those kids. I played all my whole life here as a kid growing up in minor hockey. Won some
hmm,
OMHA championships that I'm proud of. As
hmm,
just playing with your buddies. You know what I mean? Like I say, and loving the game. As a kid, and at the end of the day, yeah, I still could play. Like I say, I talk to Jeff Zaire all the time. We played against each other, Zairzy and
hmm.
Woodstock. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Let's suit up," and I'm like, "Zairzy, I've been drafted in the National Hockey League. You know what I mean? We played OHL.
Yeah.
We played minor pros. We played in the East Coast, Central League. The list goes on. I was like, what do we have to prove?
Hmm,
At our age,
hmm,
what do I got to prove? You know what I mean? Like, you want me to go rub his shoulders with Alex Gilmore? You're like,
hmm.
what do I got to prove?
Exactly.
What do I got to try and fight Brandon Prust? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, what do we got to prove? Then he's like, oh yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, we let's just stick to coaching. You know what I mean? All that.
At least you talk some sense into Zerzy,
Yeah,
because I
right.
know he's
You know
been
what I mean?
wanting. He's been
Yeah.
itching. He's been itching to play this year.
I can,
Oh
I can,
yeah.
I
Like,
can see that exact conversation going down
Oh
with
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
100%. You
yeah.
guys,
We
you guys
talk
are
about
both.
the shit in the league all the time. You know what I
Yep,
mean? When liberties happen out
yep.
there, and man, I'm old school, man. Like I say, I fought some heavyweights, man, back in the
Oh
day.
yeah. I wouldn't want to mess with you.
Back in the early '90s, man, you had to survive on the ice. It
Oh
wasn't like
yeah,
how it is today.
whole
You know what I
different
mean?
game. Oh
Yeah,
man, we could talk
like
for hours about the
Yeah,
differences now
and I
because
fought,
man,
like I say, I fought Brandon Sugden, and the list goes. Or Andrew Peters, Trevor Gillies.
oh
Like I say,
man.
I the list goes on of guys I fought and played against. And like I said, I was in a National Hockey League with when I was drafted to Buffalo.
Hmm.
Rob Ray's there, Matthew Barnaby's
Oh,
there, Brad May's there, Bob Bugner's there. The list goes on, right? Like, and what's Ryan Davis gonna prove if I walk into Buffalo and want to drop the gloves with those guys? Like they all
yeah.
laugh. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I told Jeff, I'm like, man, I'm like, I don't think I could play in this league. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I'm old school, and I'm like you dropping f bombs, but I'm like, I'd fucking knock somebody's teeth out, like you know what I mean? I'm like, there's face
Yep.
masks. This is like junior B to me. I'm like, people are out there with fucking face masks on. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? I got no teeth. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like you're a man or you're not, man. Like I say,
Yep.
at the end of the day, you man up, and like I said, I had to survive. And like
Hmm.
Brad Brown was in the league, when I was in the like there was
Yep.
some scare. Nathan Parrott, Shane Kenny, Eric Bolton. There were some legitimate heavyweights when you learned right away. Like you said, Justin McPolin was in London. Like I say,
Hmm.
the Windsor had DJ Smith. I can go on and on about every team. Burt Templeton had meatballs
Yep.
in Barrie. You know what I mean? And that was a rival. So
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like I say, I've been around a little bit. Jeff Zare would tell you that. And like I say, at the end of the day, I don't think I could play because, like I say, I'd be sussied, right?
It's
Like
too
they'd put me
much.
on a league. Like
Exactly.
you know what I mean? I think one of my players got a 5-game suspension for running a guy over, maybe a second late.
Hmm.
Like you say, but just ran the Orangeville kid over. He admired his pass. He ran
Hmm.
him. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and the kid got cut or got hurt or something. But at the end of the day, man. Like you remember the Zdeno Chara hit on Max Pacioretty when he ran him into
Oh
the
yeah.
catcher
Yeah.
board? That was a common theme. Like
Hmm.
that, like you do not put yourself in a situation like
Trust
that,
me. I know
right?
you see those jerseys behind me. I got when I was a youngster
Like,
with the Flyers just I mean, first of all, they were always kick ass, but they had just acquired when I was young Chris Pronger, and I got to watch this guy. And this guy, what Chris Pronger played in modern hockey, he'd be considered a dirty bastard. But
oh
back
yeah,
then, if you went in the corner with Chris Pronger, you were leaving with either a slash, an elbow, or you went to the front of the net and you were going to be on your ass. And that was the way that the game used to be played. And like you said, I know we could go on for hours and we're running out of time, so I don't want to get into it,
Well,
but I
hey,
agree with you.
before we stop, we're gonna do a '90s hockey episode. This
Yeah, we're gonna
is
bring
just
you and Jeff on. We're gonna talk '90s hockey. But hey,
but,
oh
last,
yeah.
Trey, before we get into it, I just gotta say, Andrew Peters is the best name drop I think we'll hear.
oh, buddy, I loved it.
That
I
dude,
loved it.
that guy was my favorite player at one point. It was in high school, and that every time the guy stepped on the ice, I had to watch every single game.
Yeah,
He was my favorite player at one
yeah.
point. So
I
that's
couldn't believe. I saw your eyes.
such a fun name drop. I
Saw your
love it.
eyes light up when
Well,
Ryan
I
shouted
haven't
him
heard
out.
the name Andrew Peters in
I
forever, and
love it.
Oh
it
yeah.
brought back high school for me.
But
Yeah.
we're getting low on time, so I do want to ask you one final question. So if you're a businessman here going towards your people, your community, the playoffs start now. The real hockey starts now. What are you going to tell the people? Because they're going to be watching this when it gets spread and when it gets shared. The people on the res are going to be watching this. They're going to be intrigued. What's your pitch to the people to come out and pack the barn and sell out the barn for the Ironman playoff run this year? Tell me what you're going to tell the people because I want to hear it.
Well, it's real simple. Like I say, get down to the rink. We play 3:30 in the afternoon on Sundays. It's a great time. Like I say, I think it's awesome that we even have hockey. And at the end
Mhm.
of the day, what we're selling here is come and support us. At
Mhm.
the end of the day, come and support your local hockey players. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We're not like I say, we're not throwing a expensive ticket out there. Bring the wife, bring the girlfriend, bring the kids down, and my team is going to show you Ironman hockey, and we're going to try and play for you guys. Let's be the seventh. Let's be the sixth, seventh man. Out there for us. Let's make it a tough environment for these incoming teams that want to try to come down here and bounce us from the playoffs and get victories here. Let's make this a tough place to play. Let's make it you know what I mean. Let's make it a tough as a fan. You know what I mean. Coming into our barn for
Mhm.
opposing teams, and that's my sell. Come on out and cheer us on. Come on out and support us. You know what I mean.
Mhm.
It works both ways. It's mutual respect from me and the players. Is we're in the schools. Like I say, we're out in the community. like I say, we're role models, and at the end of the day, come on out, check us out, come on out, support us. It's Ironman hockey. You know what I mean? We're gonna go out there and work our tails off for you guys, and come be that sixth, that sixth, seventh person for us, and cheer us on and get the barn rocking and rolling, and let's make this a tough place to play for opposing teams. Coming in here, let's light it up and let's support us, and yeah, let's put on a good show and come get some. We got swag going out. We throw stuff in the stands all the time to the kids and the families. Like I say, we got 50-50 sales. Come down, try your luck at some money. We got the board, right, with the shooterama. Pick your favorite Ironman guy and see if he can win you a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? The pot's it's always growing. You know what I mean? Like I say, there's lots of good things coming that we got on the table here and down at the local hockey rink. We got food, we got swag. Come on down, have something to eat, and come cheer the boys on. And yeah, we'll try and put a good show on for you guys, and let's make it a tough place to play
Love it.
at
Love
Six
it.
Nations.
All right. Ryan Davis, head coach of the Six Nations Ironmen, an extremely successful story this year. Community over everything, bringing the boys in, getting them fired up. You got me fired up. I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready. I'm a goaltender. I'm ready to go jump on the ice and go run hextall on somebody because you got me fired up, Ryan. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us, and best of luck in the playoffs. I know I'm going to be seeing you around either one of these matchups, and like I said, best of luck. And at the end of the day, may the best team win. And we'll see you in a few days here with the playoffs coming up. Have a great rest of your night, brother. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, fellas, thanks for having me, and like I say, thanks for including me. And yeah, like I say, it's exciting times, right? And playoff start, so definitely look forward to seeing you guys in one of the local hockey rinks at one of the games coming up in the playoffs. So thanks for reaching out and having me on the podcast.
For
Well,
sure.
I'll see you Saturday and Sunday, Ryan.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's
Yep.
gonna be a good time.
Okay,
All
Brad. Yep.
right. All right, folks. On behalf of Mr. Brad Thompson and our special guest tonight, Mr. Ryan Davis, the head coach of the Six Nations Ironmen, I'm Treh Hamilton, and this has been the Blocking Biscuits Hockey Podcast. Have a great night, hockey fans. It's playoff time, baby. Let's go.